of an unidentified flying object.
I'm Jack Osborne, and you're listening.
This is Hudson Hammond, and you're listening to...
I'm Richard C. Hoagland, and you're listening.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be really great if people, if they want to see a lot of what we're doing, and it's on youtube.com, S Disclosure, just the letter S as in serious, but just S Disclosure. So our YouTube channel has so much material, and also if people want to become part of a CD5 Contact group, there's a training program that's on an app that they can download via our website, and there's also a second free app that will show you where people are that are near you. So we've had thousands of people who've signed up on that. If you do want to, you can download it and sign up, put an email address or something in there so people in your area can find you, and that way you can get together as a team and go out under the stars and do the close encounters of the fifth kind contact protocols. Well, and CE5 basically is when humans initiate or openly welcome the contact, and that's another way for disclosure to be empowered, and that is that the people all over the world doing it, and it's something that also creates a change in consciousness when these extraterrestrial civilizations see people are actually doing something that is proactive and peaceful and rational, as opposed to just gossiping and a bunch of fear. And I think that's what they're waiting to see. And I honestly think that people, the individual person, has much more power over all of this than they realize. And for example, we had one woman who lives near Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah, and that's a really super secret base, state of the art. It's where they built the new National Security Agency data center. And she's going to go around and put up flyers asking people who are involved in the underground base there with the ET technologies and UFOs and the big man-made flying triangles and things like that to come forward. So she's just a regular person who's going to take it and make an initiative to do that. So, everyone could do that. People who live in California, you could go up near Edwards Air Force Base in Palmdale, Lancaster, do the same thing. Go to people, their pubs and community centers and put notices up. We need sort of an army of people out there doing the networking for us. Same thing with looking for people with these technologies. I have no doubt there's probably at any given time dozens of people in the world who have stumbled across this same high voltage resonant field effect of zero point or quantum vacuum energy generators, and they're in your communities. So we need people out there scouting for us and helping us find them. And so there's so much that people can do if they take the initiative and actually become an activist, because this is very much a grassroots effort. It's not like we have some big army of paid people doing this, and so everything we've achieved has been through the volunteers and people working to get the truth out. And everyone can play some role wherever you might live in the world. And that's what Unacknowledged, the film and the book, are all about. That will put to rest the question of whether any of this is true, number one. Number two, then we're going to say we're going to put together the means to support and protect the technologies that will protect the environment, but also give humans an entirely new civilization on the planet. And then number three, if the governments don't become peaceful and make contact, we the people, through the CE5 initiative, will do it ourselves. So it's really not so much about fighting someone else as saying, we're going to leave you guys behind and do it ourselves. Because I think that what you don't want to do is engage in a push-me, pull-you sort of way. You just want to say, here's the truth, and here is a creative new reality that we can manifest, as opposed to getting entangled with the collapsing. And it's clear to people that the current state of everything is just in a state of collapse. Our governments, religious institutions, the financial sector, everything. So instead of getting tied up with the collapse and being drugged down with it, it's like a ship sinking and being sucked underneath the ocean. I tell people, let's be aware of that, but let's just bring the truth out to the public, but in a way that paints a picture, a pathway forward of a new civilization on this planet that we can manifest. Because it isn't as if it's impossible. We could have had the world I'm talking about 100 years ago of free energy and no poverty and a just civilization. So this is all, one of the messages of this film is that, yes, these are the things that have been done that are wrong and that have been kept secret. It was a mistake, and we have a right to know. But the good news, which is implicit in all of this, is that we already have on this planet all the technology and knowledge we need to go into the future for thousands of years in a state of peace and abundance without any damage to the environment and with genuine sustainability, and then launch from there into space. All that is here. I mean, that's what the very good part of this story is, that on the one hand, it's outrageous that it's been kept secret and stolen from us. On the other hand, the realization that it's here and that we have it on this planet and we can prove it's here and that we have it, that is a message of great hope to everyone who sees all the problems out there and see them as intractable, impossible problems. And in reality, they're completely fixable. And not in a simplistic way, but by a really radical, if you want to use that term, in terms of getting to the root of the problem, getting to the root of the problem of poverty, getting to the root of the problem of the environmental crisis, getting to the root of the problem of the have and the have-nots clashing with increasing instability all over the world and terrorism. What are the roots of these problems? And when you analyze it, we can say, here's a big part of it, is that we have a system that is set up as a masters and slaves system, where basically you have this oligarchy of super elites who are controlling the macroeconomic order and game and the technological system we're living under, and all the rest of us, really are sort of toiling away in ignorance on this plantation. We need to say, look, we're going to leave that plantation behind, and we're going to start a whole new civilization that's not based on all this fraud and deception, and do it in a way that's vowing to be a peaceful civilization on Earth, but also a peaceful civilization in space. I always tell people the worst thing that could happen is that we unite the world around a so-called alien threat, and instead of just having skirmishes on the planet and wars, we have interplanetary conflict. I mean, this is not progress, my friends. This is going a big step backwards. So we have to figure out how to get this right, but you can't let these foxes that are guarding the hen house do the disclosure. We have to do that. We, the people, have to do the disclosure in a way that's enlightened and truthful, or we're going to end up in a world of woe. And I think this is a very clear path that one direction leads to really a destruction of the planet. The other leads to a peaceful civilization that is peaceful not only on Earth but interplanetary peace, universal peace, if you want to call it, but gives us the means to live on the planet in a just way. So there's a foundation for peace. And it's very hard to say, how are you, the old saying, no justice, no peace. When you have the injustice of half the world's population doesn't even have indoor plumbing, how exactly in that setting are you going to have a world that is having anything resembling peace? So I think that we have to understand that the good news is that the means and the technologies to achieve that are here already. They have to be liberated. They have to be explained. They have to be brought out to the public. And I think it's a huge mistake to think that the government or political leaders or large corporations are going to do it. It's going to be we, the people, do it. But we need to do it with millions of people, and this is why I'm making the appeal for people to get behind this campaign, because this is not just to do one movie and a book. This is an ongoing campaign to bring the truth out and to bring the sciences and technologies out. And it's interesting, the 400,000 people or so who've seen the film Sirius for free on our YouTube/S disclosure channel, if each person had given just $5 or $10, we would have $2 to $4 million so that we could actually have the means to put the staff on and do the research and get these technologies tested and reproduced. So we need people to understand that they need to go from just the shock and awe and entertainment factor about UFOs and ETs, that we need to become real activists on the issue and do something serious about it that ends the secrecy. Because if you become the President of the United States, doesn't mean they have an all-access pass and control over these unacknowledged special access projects. This is the heart of the problem that we want to expose in this new film, is that these projects are not running with the proper supervision and controls required by the Constitution and the rule of law. They are not briefing the people in Congress they should. They are not under the control of the President and the Congress or even the courts. They basically have so much funding and have become so Byzantine and complex that they've gotten up off the reservation and out of the system and are a force unto themselves. And this is an existential threat. As Eisenhower pointed out, this kind of secrecy is a threat to our democracy and our way of life. And, Eisenhower was a five-star general and a Republican conservative president. I mean, it wasn't like it was Abby Hoffman or some hippies in the 60s saying this. This was President Eisenhower who said, beware the military-industrial complex. But most people didn't understand why he said it. Now we do. Now we have really good evidence of what went horribly wrong in the 50s and continue to go wrong in the 60s all the way up till today with the secrecy. And myself, having been at briefings where I've done, the face-to-face briefings with CIA directors or with ministers of defense or with people who are senior officers, like generals and admirals at the Pentagon, who are being lied to about these projects, you come to realize that the only way to fix it is what we've been doing with the Disclosure Project, and now we're doing with this campaign to end secrecy, and this movie and book and concert we're planning to do that will have the whole world watching, where you have people who are whistleblowers who, for patriotic reasons and for wanting to be within the rule of law, they defy their secrecy orders and come forward to the public. Because these unacknowledged special access projects and the people who are in them, many of the people in them don't understand how illegal the projects are. And the other problem is how easy it is to deceive a president. Let's take Reagan. Reagan didn't know anything about this, but he had had a sighting when he was governor, as you know, flying from Sacramento, I believe, to L.A. on the governor's plane. And Governor Reagan later spoke of this, but when he became president, I talked to a Colonel Holman, who was on a team that went in and provided all kinds of false information about threats from aliens to justify Reagan supporting the Strategic Defense Initiative. So in the case of Reagan, he knew a little bit about the subject, but they spun it in a direction to get him to spend billions of dollars on the Star Wars program, this SDI program. And that's why he gave this talk when he was at the UN, where Reagan said, wouldn't our job of creating world peace be easier if we had a common alien threat to fight? Well, he had been brainwashed by these people, and this colonel told me, he says, we all knew that was nonsense. So this is the other problem, is that these politicians are at the mercy of the people around them that can provide disinformation, just like Tom DeLonge is having disinformation shoveled into his arena that he's now repeating to the public and trying to get all these millennials to hate all the ETs and go along with a war, World War III. So, this is the kind of stuff that the manipulation that the intelligence community always does. And we have to just call it out for what it is. It's not even a question if it goes on. It's the only question is how much of it is bunk and how much of it is true and how much of it is commingled in a way so that the bunk is believable. I think it's very nuanced, actually. And this is what you see with the UFO subject. There's a lot of credible information that then gets attached to it nonsense, and people then take into their belief system the nonsense because some of the information is credible. And these guys are very good at that kind of psychological warfare. And I think certainly that goes on all the time. And this is why, in many ways, I'm sort of the biggest skeptic out there on so much of what is the stock and trade of conspiracy theories and this thing about aliens and this and that, because I've met with too many people in the military and also in the contracting sector and corporations where they describe their methods and the technologies they have to create these deceptions. And in fact, one of the military guys I've worked with, he said there's even a name for this, a deceptive INW, or a deceptive indication and warning, is what they call a false flag. And it's actually a specific area of expertise within the military and intelligence community. So I think this is not in doubt at all. It's a question of how far can they take it. And I think this is one of the things we want to expose in this new initiative is all the deceptive information or disinformation that's been put out there. But we need credible first-hand sources to come forward to talk about it. So that's really what we're putting out a call for through your show today. So, I mean, I think, my final thoughts on this, if I can wrap this up a little,
yes,
is that we really, this is a campaign that ends the secrecy and unacknowledged the movie and the book, as well as what we want to do with bringing out these free energy technologies. It's all about the public taking responsibility and helping make this happen, because, by ourselves, the few of us here can only do so much. But if we get the public to contribute financially, to become scouts for top secret evidence and witnesses, the best photos and videos that are out there of UFOs that are real, the best government documents, the best, all of this gets put together in something that becomes an unstoppable flow of information to the public. And if people, take the initiative to begin to help us identify these free energy technologies, we can feature that in the film and in the book, but we can also have a massive disclosure concert that would have 1 billion or 2 billion people seeing it live streamed all over the world, where the public can celebrate the end of oil and the beginning of a new civilization. That's really what we want to do with this campaign. And we're just, I'm asking for the public to help us. And they go to SeriousDisclosure.com, they make a contribution, contact us if you have evidence.
Go ahead.
I just have one last question for you, Dr. Greer. Obviously, with your high-profile connections and your high corporate military connections, have you come across anyone from 50th Space Command Wing? And, do you know what happened when they changed in 92? The U.S. Space Command's dominating structure changed.
Yeah, I don't have anyone on the inside of that, so
okay.
You may have more information than I have. If you have a credible person on the inside, send them our way. And I really want to thank you, Dr. J, for all the help you're giving. I know you may want to go through your materials and look at the best photos and videos you have. Yes. And also you mentioned this one gentleman. Who are the best people who might be whistleblowers that we need to follow up with? And send a list over to us.
Absolutely. Dr. Greer, if you could just hang by for a quick second. Everybody out there, of course, it's been wonderful having you paying attention to the program. Of course, thank our guest, Dr. Greer, who's always a hit, and we look forward to hearing from him again. But most importantly, it's you, the listeners. You guys are the reason we do this. And with that being said, don't forget to check it out on YouTube, and it's always the same name, youtube.com/Dr. J Radio Live, and the same thing, the website, drjradiolive.com. That's drjradiolive.com. With that being said, this is Dr. J, and we are signing off.